It's red.
I believe that means you have the red dot on the...
Red dot. Red dot on the screen.
All right. Damn. As soon as we sat down, I have to piss like a racehorse. As soon as we sat down.
As soon as you sat down.
But let's let it fuel me. You know what I mean? We'll see how far I can go.
Racehorse piz-nassing. Alrighty. So I had a little...
Well, let's start.
What's up, gangsters? McLovin.
Oh, a little McLovin ref.
What's up, gangsters? Welcome to the inaugural episode of FilmPod, the only podcast where Michael Jennings and Cyrus Cooper...
I'm Cyrus Cooper.
...talk about and discuss... Those are the two same things. The only podcast where Michael Jennings and Cyrus Cooper...
That's me over here. Ding!
...watch and discuss every film on the New York Times Top 100 Films of the 21st Century podcast.
That's right. We are dissecting the Gray Lady's choices for the 21st century. We're out here trying to second guess these critics by, coming to it with our lens. Now, this being the inaugural episode, we should explain a little bit of our bona fides about, what makes us qualified to second guess these people at all.
My bona fide for why I believe I could second guess them is I am smarter and better than them.
And that's all it takes, right? And to second what my dear friend Jennings has said, we are both comedians from currently centered in New Orleans, Louisiana. And by dint of that, just by that fact, it's, very clear that we are just going to have a better opinion about films than people who work for the New York Times. That being said, they didn't miss 1,000,000%, right? They didn't just straight up fucking whiff it.
No, they got some things right. They got some things very, very wrong. But I'd say for the most part, pretty accurate list. As, the show goes on, we will discuss what they missed and what they just knocked out of the park. But
and here's what I also am going to say as we get started with our journey here, this journey of 100 steps, starting with a single one here to get through this list, that we do realize that we are giving the New York Times way more traffic off of this list that they made that they'll ever dream of.
Just because we said New York Times so many times in the first, 2 minutes of our podcast, their subscriptions have gone up immeasurably.
And sharing this on X, the Everything app, is going to be worthless because they don't share New York Times stuff at all. That's Elon's. Elon shuts it down. So
we might change Elon's opinion on the New York Times.
I think I could change Elon's opinion on pretty much anything, but that's because he's high, and it's easy to change people's minds who's high.
Yes, I think if you just told Elon you're a very beautiful man and you should start sharing the New York Times material again, he'd be like, well, that's pretty crazy.
Oh, wow. You had a good one there.
You make a good point.
Oh, but I just mean that, they put this out, this list, thinking they'd get 3 days of social media hits. And we're about to juice them up for, many, many, many weeks with our content.
I'd say for the next 2 years.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if we find a way to speed it up, that's on y'all. If y'all figure out a way to pay us money instead of this being a passion project.
Right. If we can go twice weekly instead of once weekly.
Because you guys are so hungry for it and you don't want to give the New York Times that extended airplay.
Yes.
Then, that might be something to think about. So that's just what I wanted to say in prelude to our discussion of Film 100, Jennings. And before we begin, just like our number 100 film, Superbad, I love you, and I'm excited to go on this journey with you.
And just like our number 100 film, Superbad, I'm partial to you, but I'm excited anyway.
My man. That's all I need. I'll take any crumb.
Alrighty, so first movie up, Superbad. Shot in 2007, written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, directed by Greg Mottola. It tells the tale of Seth and Evan, two graduating high school seniors who will soon be, after the summer's over, at different colleges, separated from one another. It tells the tale of I've already said that.
It tells
but,
the tale of Seth and Evan.
It tells the
but
tale of
there's
Seth and
also other tales to tell
Yes.
inside of that. The tale of Fogel.
Fogel, yes, McLovin.
Yes.
I will be referring to him as McLovin.
Yeah, no, well,
I don't dead name anybody.
that's a very good point.
Yes.
Right? By the end of the film,
He is McLovin.
Mm-hmm.
Fogel is his dead name, and I respect people's chosen names.
and so what's his first name?
I don't know. Do they refer to him by his first name other than...
I just want to make sure it's not Jared because I literally just watched it.
I think it's Jared.
Is his name the same as Subway
no,
Jared
no.
Fogel?
I do not believe it is the same name as the
I
Subway
literally
Pedo.
just watched this, but I also did hit the vape pen a couple times. So,
Is there any other way to watch Superbad other than...
well, that's another. That was one thing I found very interesting when I was thinking back on it. There's for a movie written by Seth Rogen, there is very, very little use of marijuana in the film.
Yes, I was shocked by that too because I went into it. I have not seen it since I was maybe 20. I watched it well past the prime age to watch this, and I can't even remember my opinion on it back in the day. But I was like, this will probably be a good stoner comedy. I just
Yeah.
assumed that because it was a Seth Rogen
Right.
production. But I was like, no marijuana usage, I don't believe, except maybe at one point in the movie.
There's well, in terms of marijuana's presence, I believe there's a bong at one or two of the house parties. I'm pretty sure there is a bong present in the
There's a bong at the adult house party.
adult house party
Because we all know marijuana is an adult thing and booze is a teenage thing.
right.
Grow up.
We got to grow up already.
Yeah.
If you're still in the Stone Age drinking alcohol because you're chasing after your youth like that's why it's the passion drug of the the guys who get their nut spending $95 a night at Applebee's.
Yeah.
Because they sold 2 trucks that day to guys they knew in high school who also have office jobs and have no need for a fucking truck.
Right. I'm a little thrown off right now. I didn't expect Applebee's to be brought up this soon into our podcast.
Well, I mean,
But-
if part of our approach is kind of dissecting these films' impact on American culture, hey, what's more American culture than Applebee's, right?
Nothing.
See, it's pretty much like
Nothing. The chosen dining experience of my parents growing up.
right. Mine too.
Yeah.
Fiesta lime chicken. My dad still loves that shit, bro.
Boneless wings for me, doggy.
Oh, okay.
Little boneless. I go to the appetizer menu, get a few things.
Why not? They got the appetizer sampler for a fucking reason, bro. They know what you're doing.
I remember the first time I ordered an appetizer sampler, I didn't know what I wanted. I was like, is this good? Is this good? I was an annoying little child. The waiter was like, nah, man, you should get the appetizer sampler. I was like, look at me. Do I look like I want samples of anything? He goes, trust me, bro. You're going to get a lot of food. It changed my life.
Bro, I got to be honest with you. You just sparked something inside of me with that recollection because I do remember the first time I just remember not, it's one of those kind of Proust's Madeline type experiential emotions where it's like I don't really remember what all led up to it, how it all unfolded, but I do remember feeling like, wow, I really just figured it out today when I ordered the appetizer sampler.
You don't have to have one thing.
Here's the answer. I found what has been bedeviling me so many times that I've come to the restaurant has a solution. The appetizer sampler.
That was my one complaint with any of Anthony Bourdain's productions. He never did an episode on the appetizer sampler at Applebee's. He never walked in Applebee's, an American institution, where you can...
If he was real, he went to Waffle House.
He
So
did
if
go to
was
Waffle
real-
House, yeah.
If he was real, he would have added Applebee's to the list.
He should have. I think that was the next episode after.
Yeah, that was scheduled.
Yeah.
That was on the production list.
Yeah, he was doing Applebee's, Olive Garden, and Chili's.
Applebee's. Well, he went to. It was going to be Times Square.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit them all. Hit them all.
Times Square, home of...
Used to be home to many sex workers. Now, the only pimp you can find is the guy behind the Olive Garden.
Times Square. It used to be, and still is home to many sex workers. But instead of getting fellatio from them, you'll get an appetizer sampler from Applebee's.
No more fellatio, only ravioli.
Alrighty.
All right, let's talk about Superbad.
We've talked about Applebee's, Anthony Bourdain, Waffle House. Yeah, let's get a little back on track.
Let's
I'd
get
say.
back on track.
So
Greg Mottola directed.
Greg
Seth
Mottola.
Rogen written with. So, of course, I think the first thing to mention, right? Seth and Evan, the writers of the film, and also the main characters of the film. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big point of
little writer stand-in type of thing.
For sure. Clearly, they, I think I'm talking out of school a little bit, but just from my recollection, this is something they started writing when they were close to the age of the characters in the film, correct?
They were very young. They wrote it, I believe, when they were that age, and they tried for years, I think over a decade, to get this movie off the ground. And they said, if you don't let us make it, from what I understand, the studios were like, we need to make it more like this, more like that, more palatable. They're like, no, we want to make a movie with a representation accurate to high school. And if you don't let us make it like that, then we're not making it.
So, yeah, looking at it now, it's hard to understand what they would see as the unpalatable aspects, right? Because looking at the palette of like comedy movies of that sort of ilk that came afterwards, it is relatively tame in terms of like how far afield some of its gross out or I would say like, set pieces are.
Yeah, I'd say really only one scene you would consider a gross out scene.
One scene's a gross out scene, but it's also very grounded in reality, right?
Yes.
It's like not like we have what came to mind. Of course, we shouldn't talk around it, right? If we're going to talk about the scene.
Yes.
I'm discussing the period blood scene from the adult house party.
Yes.
That's what we would say is the only gross out moment. Did you say? Or there's also the gore moment early on in the film.
Which one?
During the another interesting thing we should probably talk about are some of the filmmaking type flourishes.
Yes.
Seth's sort of reveries as he goes into the grocery store and imagines the different scenarios play out as he tries to steal the booze, right?
Yes.
Which definitely seems to me like one of those scenes that they wrote young, right? I really enjoyed it, but it's like a very simple premise, right? It's like a guy goes in to rob like liquor for his friend's party, and he imagines all the ways it can go wrong and then just walks out empty-handed, right? That is like, I could see that as a short film that friends make in high school.
Yeah. Who among us hasn't done the exact same thing?
Yeah, I haven't at least thought about it, right? Like, what if I just ran in there and ran out with a fucking bottle of hooch?
But then you, obviously, as anyone would get worried you might accidentally slit an elderly woman's throat with a bottle.
The ladies, he gets his throat slit, right? The elderly lady gets just fucking clobbered by the guy trying to hit him.
Yes, and dies.
Yes, and dies.
But you don't want your last act to be accidentally murdering.
I was very much laughing at it. Said like, you fucking killed her. Oh, good ass scene.
Superbad really was a seminal high school comedy, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah,
I was pretty young when Superbad was released, 10, I believe. Now, I've done the math. You're 35, so you were...
I'm actually 36.
You're 36.
Friend.
Well, I'm trying
I turned 36 just a couple weeks ago, so
okay,
you're not too far off.
I'm trying to...
I'm a Gemini, so I'm going to let you know when my birthday is.
Okay.
By the way, you can just say whatever, and like if you put your star sign in front of it, it's right. It's right, and that's how horoscopes work. Sorry.
No, I
love them.
I don't think Seth should have yelled, "You effing killed her." I think he should have been like, "I'm a Virgo."
I'm a Virgo.
I'm a Virgo, and they'd been like, "Oh, go on your way."
2023 Superbad. That would have been the line.
I'm a Virgo. Sorry, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, go right ahead."
Yeah.
I need this liquor because I'm a Virgo.
And they're like Virgo. Hey, it's Virgo season actually.
So you were 17 or 18 when Superbad came out.
So I was born in 1989.
1989.
And came out in September of 07. Is that right?
Yes, it came out in 07, and I was just curious if you could give the listeners a little insight to how this film hit the culture and your relationship to the film from then.
Well, so this is an interesting kind of, I think, topic for sure, because rewatching this film today before our discussion about it, I had not seen it in a long, long time, right? I watched it frequently in the time period it came out, right? I watched it. I must have watched it at least 10 times with friends, like you said, smoking weed in college or my freshman year. I started my freshman year of college in 2006.
Okay.
I
So this had
graduated-
to be the perfect just like hang movie.
Yeah, I skipped a grade, of course, and graduated when I was 16 years old.
Brilliant. I didn't realize that a brilliant
No.
like
And then
Einstein.
turned 17, started college in 06. So 07, I was going into my sophomore year. You know, we're doing everything, right? Not everything. We're drinking like a couple nights a week and smoking down every day. So yeah, Superbad came out. We're like, hell yeah, watched it a million times, and it was huge. I mean, there's still things I realized that kind of entered my vocabulary from that film. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Because I was also, to step back a bit, I'm a big Michael Cera partisan. And before, I was a big Arrested Development fan
Okay.
as that had come on.
I did not realize this was post Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got somebody when
Cera was a known commodity
Okay.
coming into this. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I watched Arrested Development in high school.
All right.
So that was 05, 06, I think, is whenever we have Arrested Development popping off. And then also, because I was a comedy nerd, I was a big fan of a not as widely known as it should be web series that was made by Michael Cera and Clark Duke called Clark and Michael.
Okay.
And CBS produced it, basically just gave him like a very, $500 or whatever,
Yeah.
Barely anything. And they got there's a lot of cameos from people who are in Arrested Development and, other comedy people that they've met. Eric Wareheim plays their neighbor. But because of that, I was super excited about it. And I realized that when I made the vocabulary reference, it was Clark and Michael that changed my vocabulary.
Okay.
Michael Cera at one point says some such shit. Like, they're trying to fuck us up or some such shit. And I never have stopped saying some such shit in my life. And I realized that watching that today. But we watched it hundreds of times. And the biggest thing I think I came away with from Superbad that I never saw when I was watching it all those times as a youth is how many people in the film are aware and charmed by these set of schemes that all three of the characters, our three main high school characters, have in play, right? Like, the first time you see Becca talk to Evan, right? She's clearly kind of asking him, hitting on him a little bit.
Yes.
Trying to what are you doing? So you're it's clear that I kind of picked up on that she was kind of flirty, but now with my adult eyes, I'm seeing this guy just doesn't know how to connect with this girl.
He doesn't know how to flirt back. His
Right.
ways of flirting back were saying, got to hang out with some adults,
Yeah.
which I thought was so funny. 'Cause
Right.
At that age, what's not better than a barbecue with the homies that are 45?
Bro, it's like drinking downstairs. I mean, I don't know about in Mississippi, there's definitely nights where people's friends' parents were having a party, and then there was 4 people downstairs sneaking beers, getting drunk, hanging out.
See, I didn't watching this. I was very interested to watch it now at 26 rather than 20 or 21 because even when I was watching it as a younger man, I was homeschooled. My only socializing was through youth group. So I did not fully relate to Seth and Evan and McLovin. But watching it at 26, being further removed, I was like, this is truly hilarious to see just how stupid my friends were, and the potential of just teenage stupidity was so much fun to watch as a slightly older man.
And I mean, I totally agree with you, right? The teenage stupidity, but like, I was just so charmed by them, right? Because the other thing I came away with that I didn't really think about when I was their age, right? When I'm 17 watching this movie, is that they look like fucking kids, man.
Yeah, they casted teenagers. They casted very well. I don't know if they were teenagers, but they were. I think Michael Cera was the oldest at the time and was 20.
Yeah, and Michael Cera, I mean, when that struck with me, right, I think there's something this film does that's really kind of interesting and subtle, is that, like, they have I really enjoy The Day After, right? Like, that little bit of the everything, kind of the denouement or whatever of everything. But during the night, right, they're in these extreme situations they've never been in. They've, Seth is literally wearing like an old man's clothes, right? He's like in these clothes of an adult. They're trying to look older. They're trying to like have this like big grown up night, and then it just kind of very stark the next day. You see them at the mall and you see Michael Cera walk up in that like too big t-shirt, the too long shorts, the fucking Casio watch on his wrist, and he just looks like a little kid again.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that was like these kids, are really going through it. They're really like trying stuff. And I just found it like, I just kind of understood it way more almost as like a very endearing coming of age story that I didn't see it as when I was of that age, when I just saw it as like a funny party caper.
Yeah, you wouldn't have realized when you were that age. Because when you're that age, you want to be an adult. You're pretending to be an adult.
Right.
But looking back now, watching them pretend to be older and more mature than they are is hysterical.
Right. And like putting myself not in their shoes, right? But like putting myself into the adults in the film's shoes, right? Mm-hmm. Like now that I'm watching it, I'm putting myself in like, what if I was a random person at that adult house party? Like if I was that guy on the couch next to the dude who noticed the period blood for the first time on the leg. Like how would I react to just like some clearly young ass guy in crazy ass clothes? Just like being in a space he has no business
being in. Just the worst adults of all time in this movie, I'd say.
And that's the other thing is that in Mississippi, there are times where you can be a little too young and have opportunities to party with people who are a little too old to be partying with you. So I definitely have found myself adding some of these.
I'm glad I have you here for this podcast because my teenage life was very uneventful.
Oh, man.
So when I watched this, could not relate to anything. Very funny stuff, but in my mind, total fantasy movie. Might as well have been Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, there is some fantasy elements to it, right? But in terms of the sexual aspects of it, which didn't age so well.
Yes, some of that was very... Ugh.
Well, specifically...
I still thought with the sexual aspects of it, with Evan specifically, I thought they were playing with that old, you talk about 16 Candles when the woman was just passed out.
Sure. No, this is not what I like. In terms of that stuff, I think the film played it pretty straight and well, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the scene that really, I think was very compassionate in that regard is specifically Seth and Emma Stone together.
Yes.
Where, you can see Seth get very embarrassed that he's internalized a lot of those kind of things that you've seen in all those teen movies before, right? That, the way the way, this kind of ongoing story is culminated is by like the big end of the year party, and you get drunk and she gets drunk, and you're finally like have your inhibitions lessened by the alcohol, and you're able to kind of confess what you've been feeling this whole time. And just like the very childlike, very endearing and like heartbreaking embarrassment he shows in that moment when he realizes that like, oh, I've actually made a fool of myself.
Yes.
To kind of be here right now. And what I thought was very sweet is that he acts in a very childlike way. He runs away, right?
Yeah.
He like kind of like goes and hides in the corner. And I just thought that was just like such a little heartbreaking moment that like I saw as when I was growing up, like, man, that sucks, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, damn. Like, he went for it and it didn't go his way, but fucking respect. Right? I didn't have these like other levels to it that I can see now about like just how foolish he feels in that moment. Right.
And that's one of the reasons I think the movie works so well. I bring up some of these older comedy teenage movies, not to just talk about uncomfortable storytelling tactics,
Right.
but to like, I think without those movies, they set your expectations with those movies. You expected those old tactics just for it to be turned on its head. You expected, like Evan doesn't want to take advantage of Becca. Evan's like, I have to be drunk too. So
Right.
like, I think you're assuming these characters have seen those old comedy movies.
Yeah.
Because they're so dorky. They're just,
Right. And he's just trying to do the right thing,
he's
but
trying
like
to do the right thing.
But and it's also what? It's her friend, right? That tells him, like, well, no, if you're drunk too.
yeah.
And so he's like, oh, well, I guess this is what has to happen.
Right.
And of course, his classic toast before he takes the shot of tequila to respecting women.
Yeah, to respecting women. It's just, I think this movie plays into what we expect from comedy movies so
Right.
well and turned it into, even though it was a dumb, stupid humor movie, I think it was much smarter than people perceive it to be.
Absolutely. I think it's very emotionally astute, this movie. Absolutely.
Yeah, and storytelling wise, I think it is very smart as well.
I think it's very clean, in terms of in terms of films that are about like fucking what we start the night before, basically a little bit
Yeah.
before and then roll straight into the morning, or it opens with him driving in, right, to go pick him up from school.
Yes.
So we have straight up like 36 hours in this film, and it's moving.
It's moving, it's cooking.
Yeah, big time. It's and to be able to break apart the stories, keep track of everything, and have another rewarding storyline going on with McLovin and the cops for a lot of Evan and Seth stuff. Just fun, savvy, caper kind of filmmaking that, just bolsters the overall kind of themes of the film.
Yeah, I was very excited to watch this movie again because, and now this might be the first hot take of the podcast.
Let's hit it. Let's hear it.
I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't really enjoy comedy movies. I think 95% of them don't really have a reason to be feature length, and I think could just be sketches. And I think there are very few exceptions, and I think this is one of them.
Okay, well, here's the thing. You have a hot take. I have a hot take. I don't know if you came up here like expecting me to defend comedy, but I do not like comedy. As a fellow stand-up comedian, I hate watching comedy. I like watching Ken Burns.
Yes.
And we're fellow, aesthetes in that regard.
Yes, we both like everything.
Because, look, you know what's funny? Nothing. That's why I'm trying to make it up.
Right.
There ain't nothing funny out there.
Right.
I ain't laughing.
It's very hard to make something funny.
Right. But like you said, there are some exceptions. And my favorite exceptions are, of course, like the ones that have
Plot to them. And,
plot
yeah.
to them. Exactly.
I think, most of the great comedy movies, in my mind, the story and plot are in the driver's seat, and the jokes and gags and stuff are just a great passenger to make the ride
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's funny movies from back in the day, like Airplane, Pink Panther, but like
Go back further, my brother. If you have not seen, of course, what they say AFI's number one comedy of all time was back whenever they released the list when I was growing up. Some Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot. I haven't seen it.
I know it's all right. That's all right. That's also why we're doing the project. We're watching all these shits.
Yes.
But I have seen Some Like It Hot. Hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I guess like I just think in my
But in a heightened sense, right? It's like
in my perception, a lot of comedy movies I see, like the ones like Pink Panther, Airplane, the scenes by themselves are funny, but like I don't remember anything about the plot. And when I'm going to watch a movie, I want story and heart. That's why I think great comedy movies like School of Rock, Hangover, and a lot of the Apatow productions are so good. The jokes are there to make it fun, but there's a lot of heart and story there as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very like very naturalistic conflicts and kind of, but heightened as well, right? Like, I think Jolo Trujillo, right, is a genius. One of my favorite comedians. Anybody who from the state is a genius. But so the way they bring him in, how they weave him into the party, like bringing them to the adult party.
Oh, he was the one who hit
Right. Sorry, I should. Yeah, he's the actor who played the guy who hits him with the car outside of the cop.
Very funny. The whole, I got a warrant out for my arrest. Totally nonviolent crime. Totally not. It's just like, who phrases it like that?
No, no, a
so
genius,
funny,
bro.
dude.
No, that guy is so.
And then I think
funny.
he might have been a pedophile because he was like, "You kids on MySpace." It's just like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing is that like pedophile. Now we know what kind of being friends with a teenager can lead to, right? And it was sort of emerging at that time. But in 2005, 2006, when I was 11th and 12th grade, 15, 16 years old.
Your homies were just 40 years old.
I did know like some 27-year-old dudes, some 28-year-old guys who were had like house parties that like kids in high school would go to. That was just like the fucking haps.
When I was a sophomore in high school, one of my friends was a freshman in college. My parents were just like, "No, it's not happening." I was like, "Nah, he's the homie." They're like, "He's not the homie."
Yeah, no, when I started ninth grade, I was in geometry class with several seniors, because for many reasons, but they were there. So you're supposed to take it in ninth grade. These guys are seniors in this class, but one of the guys, I became pretty good friends with one of the guys in that class. My folks were like, "What's this about?" You know what I mean? What are you doing here? Why are you hanging out with this guy? I'm like, he's cool. He's teaching me Blink-182 songs on bass.
Oh,
he is
that
cool.
was...
And nothing weird happened. He
if
was a cool
anything
guy.
screams adult to me, it's Blink-182.
He was in high school, bro.
Oh.
That one.
Oh, yeah,
But
he was a senior. He was a senior.
No, there was this guy, Zach's older brother, that was always driving around with his fucking 4Runner, and we were like, dude, fuck off, man. I thought that guy was a loser, though. I used to be rude to people, but that was kind of Spectrum stuff. I just let it fly at some of these people.
All right. I'm going to reel it back in a little bit. We got two on our adult friends as teenagers.
But Jolo Trujillo, right?
Joe the Trujillo, yes. I think that is
the
when...
body postures.
Yeah. I think that is when the movie picked up for me personally, because for the first 10 to 15 minutes of this movie, I thought it was going to be that same old problem I have with comedies. I thought it was going to be scenes that were funny isolated, but not a great project overall. But as soon as they get in the car with him and the cops show up, Seth Rogen and Bill Hader, the movie picks up. It does not stop, and it gets very, very funny.
It's so funny after that, right? I mean, we should definitely, in terms of stuff you notice as an older person, the McLovin storyline comes together so much differently as an older person than as a younger person. When you see, like, watching it this time, like when I first watched it as a kid, I was in McLovin's headspace. I don't know if I was just not a savvy film watcher or what, but like I kind of felt it as kind of like a reveal at that end house party whenever the cops are like, "Listen, we know you're not McLovin."
Yeah.
And like every time I watched it back then, it always kind of felt like when I watched it after that, I felt like, oh, they're kind of like really giving it to him. But I never picked up on the parts of the film that are trying to clue you in that they know.
I must have missed I must have missed those because this is only the second time I've seen the film.
Right.
I must have missed those because the whole time I was like, these are just the dumbest cops of all time.
So
How do you not know this is a teenager?
I think
I might just not be an astute film watcher. I just watch and let it wash over me. I'm not trying to figure stuff out.
So you know what's that old like writing cliche about like if you're trying to do a reveal, you like hint, you tell,
you
you double tell.
You leave breadcrumbs.
Right, but there's like something thing where you like kind of show, you like
Show, don't
give
tell.
them the information
show, don't
to
tell.
push together, and then you like put it all together for him, right? So like at the beginning, when they first look at his ID and they look at him and stuff, they kind of whisper to one another,
Yes.
and then they have that kind of. So that I think right then they know this is a fucking kid, right? And that's what they say to him later. But what I didn't catch, the little one that I didn't catch until this watching, and was a line that I like thought about and thought was super funny, was Bill Hader. No, it was Seth Rogen panting and puffing after trying to catch them when they split from the car crash. Whenever they hit Seth for the second time, and the real Seth Rogen, Cop Rogen, Officer Michaels goes, "He's the fastest kid alive."
Yeah.
And so, like, he, right there, he's saying out loud to his partner, "This is the kid we're chasing. He's the fastest kid alive." So, like, I never just picked up on that. So, like, there's the film telling you these guys know he's a kid.
I think the fact you just kind of blew my mind with that, it really gives the listeners a clue into how dumb I'm going to be throughout this podcast. Like, once we get to the headier movies, the more complex movies, I don't know what you
Maybe
should
you'll
expect.
be a savant, though.
Yeah,
Maybe
I don't know.
You're just not practiced at comedies, but you're practiced at high art. You have the eye for the art, brother, and that's why you're the perfect person to do this with.
I was listening to Judd Apatow on a podcast the other day discuss Superbad, and he mentioned that like usually the great comedy films were all like they weren't made with too much style. They were typically helmed by like directors who were hired gun journeyman type. But for Superbad, they had the idea to get a director who could really bring a lot and add a lot of more skill and style to set. And
so what other films has Greg Mottola done?
I don't know.
My fault. I want to try to put you on the spot.
Wow.
But that's where we're leading to.
No, I did not. I did look at his IMDb to see what else he's directed. I didn't recognize anything. I did
But
notice some more like serious drama type movies, but I think they accomplished what they wanted with
We're
Greg
shooting this shit
Mottola.
on an iPhone, brother. So we'll figure out what other things Mottola directed. We don't need to know now.
Yeah,
he directed Superbad. That was a moneymaker.
Yeah.
And that's on the list.
We'll throw up some other posters of his movies later
Yeah.
on
Hey.
for the people watching, not listening.
Right.
Little special.
And maybe I'll edit in Grok reading it out loud in a sex voice from our new friend Elon
We're not
Musk.
using AI.
I know we're not using AI. I was just trying. The only way you can convince Elon Musk of anything is to say it came from AI.
We're using AI. Matter of fact, we're not even real.
Oh God, wouldn't that be cool to be in a computer?
I do.
But so no, speaking of Greg Mottola and the style, right? There's definitely a couple of I'm thinking of a couple of filmmakery type moments in the movie that I really enjoyed. That stood out to me, right? So one, I think a couple of shots that stood out to me that I remember. I thought it was really fun and interesting in the cops and McLovin storyline to have the camera angle from McLovin's point of view for that first ride. And to like really have them leaning over the shoulder, kind of like seemingly intimidating them. You know what I mean? Like really pushing the claustrophobia of like what it's like to be like a young kid trapped in the back of a cop car with some like unsteady cops you can't really trust where they're coming or going from. Ooh, I'm about to cough my ass off, bro.
Go for it.
I need to grab a sip. You answer the question. I can hear you as I go get a sip of water.
Only on FilmPod.
Answer the question.
The question was, what did I think of...
What? Talk about some shots.
Talk about some shots. No, I thought there was just a lot of... I just thought there was... He's dying over there, guys. I'm worried about him. He's going to be all right. No, I thought there was just a lot of craft and style on display. I think a lot of the filmmaking choices, the cop car being one of them, were interesting for a comedy movie. It wasn't just like the most obvious like shot, reverse shot stuff. There was a lot of stuff that added to, what the characters were feeling, how it would feel being inside of a cop car. A lot of, but even then, just a lot of stuff that didn't need to be there. Like
Right.
when McLovin stepped out of the car smoking the cigarette in slow motion, flicking it
There's
away.
a number of slow motion shots.
Yes.
Speaking of slow motion, and didn't need to be there. The super overcranked moment of the gold Schlitz bottle or whatever, the gold flake bottle smashing on the bus as Evan tries to save it, right? When it smashes and you have that shot of him like trying to go down, you can really see the glass. Everything's moving really slow.
Yeah.
It's very like old school. And you can see that like another one I really liked of McLovin in that kind of was that almost Copacabana-esque shot walking into that bar. It wasn't, of course, as long, but there's a bit of a tracking shot.
Yes.
From like almost like the people following McLovin as they walk to the bar, and it settles right there at the end of the bar, and the cops walk around, and you see the guy at the edge from a longer point of view, and he's throwing the nuts at the bartender. And so, like, yeah, that length of that shot of walking in, him entering this space that, like, he's never really been in before, like an adult bar, something he's imagined, and then having, like, that raw chaos that, like, that's the other thing, right, is that every instance these kids have with the adult world is chaos incarnate. It's like trying to teach them a lesson, like, growing up too fast is a problem, bro.
It's bad.
It's bad to do. And that's another why I was so touched by this film is like...
There was just wonderful, craft and style on display to add to everything, to make everything better. I mean, you mentioned that, it was an homage to Goodfellas, a movie I've seen. I'm lying.
You haven't seen Goodfellas?
I haven't seen. We'll talk about that later on.
It's on the list, though.
Yeah.
Huh?
No. This is
Oh,
2000
right.
forward.
Oh, yeah. I remember the conceit of this podcast.
FilmPod.
FilmPod, baby.
No, there was a lot there, craft-wise, but, give me a second. Lost the train of thought. No, there was just, I think they really did achieve what they wanted with Greg Mottola, using a director with a little more style and talent than just like a hired gun. I think it really added a lot to the movie. That the movie might have been fine without it, but I think it took it from what would have been a C+ to an A+, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, right, and that starts their kind of, they do that a couple more times, right?
Yes.
With other, like David Gordon Green, like directing some of those sort of Apatow projects. Nicholas Soller from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, is that his name?
Maybe. Someone's trying to break into our studio. Studio in question, a coffee shop.
A coffee shop that we're allowed to close. It's fine right now.
They think we were cooler if they thought they're just locking up a coffee shop. Bro, they're really trying to get in here.
Somebody with a key might be entering.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, if somebody with a key comes in, they'll get to come in, but that's why we locked the MFN door.
All right, someone with the keys here.
Somebody with the keys here, and his name is
Marcus Bond.
Marcus Bond with his tacos.
The first viewer of FilmPod.
Welcome. Hey, it's a live pod now for you.
Hey,
Eat
let
your
me ask.
tacos and enjoy
Let me ask you a
our
question, Marcus Bond.
discussion. Our first
my
guest,
camera,
Marcus Bond.
my
if you wanna
camera's still
come in.
recording.
Is his phone still recording up there?
No. Okay.
Pranked him. You saw to see his reaction live on tape.
All right.
That's the prank master.
All right. So just like a few more questions before maybe we close out.
Do you want to say anything to the people about our podcast or about what you've seen so far as you've walked in?
This is the second best live podcast I've been to. First one was all
Hey, that's high rankings.
I was talking
That's
to
high
one of the
rankings.
guys from All Fantasy Everything earlier today. He said the file size of the videos we have was too big, and if I could make it smaller, and I was like, give me 3 days. It's going to be way more than 3 days, Sean Jordan.
Sean, we're sorry, brother.
Yeah,
The
sorry,
codecs-
Sean.
The codecs are in disarray.
Sean-
We are in arrears in our codec payments. We will find a container to get that to you post haste.
Yeah, I do just want to let Sean know if you are watching, and clearly he is.
Yeah.
If Sean is watching, no, those cameras were not mine. I don't know how they worked. Sorry, the footage looks so bad. I just want to apologize.
It's not his camera. And guess what? He's not blaming his tools either. He's a great craftsman who honestly, this time, was given shitty tools. It's just how it is. Sometimes great craftsmen can run into bad tools.
Yes.
It's not just poor craftsmen who blame their tools. Even Bob Vila picked up a piece of shit wrench every once in a while.
Exactly.
You got to be honest with yourself.
This concludes our segment of the pod apologizing to Sean Jordan.
Shouts out.
All right, so a few more questions before we wrap it up. Okay. The opening scene, very funny. You think Seth is discussing which college he's deciding to go to, but in reality, he's discussing which porn website he wants to subscribe to next year. This was in 2007. I was like under the impression that porn was free by then.
Porn absolutely has always been free on the internet. You could always find free pornography on the internet. As soon as I started masturbating online, I was not paying for it because it was free. And you could figure it out. I used to go to a very odd website called 89.com that would give you Windows Media video clips, WMVs, to stream.
So this clearly what came from a draft from much earlier
Now,
when they
here's
were
the
writing
thing.
it.
You were always going to get, especially at that time and place, more what was perceived as higher quality pornography.
Okay.
Especially as I was entering college, for paying for it, paying for it. Yeah.
Because like I had to ask that question because like I said, kind of a stiff at that age,
Yeah.
even now.
Yeah.
Not a huge pornography guy. Don't enjoy pornography.
Hey, look, I'm just gonna say that you enjoy literary erotica. I don't know.
Are you like presuming that, or did I tell you that? Because I don't.
I was presuming.
Okay,
because
because I don't.
Well, I was just trying to give the people at home some sort of off ramp to think about what it is you jack off to then. Because if you would have let me just say he reads erotica, they would have been like, oh, okay, so he's just like a word guy. But now, it's not pornography and it's not erotica that it's read. Well, what is it then? It can't just be his imagination.
My imagination runs wild, dog.
And of course, that is what it is, which you've told me in the past. And I was just trying to keep it where people thought you were more normal than you were, but I'm sorry.
But okay, let's reel it in from that.
Of course, well, see, of course, you don't understand why they paid for it. You're sitting there and you got the fucking lemon on the sun. You know what I mean? You're fucking drinking lemonade every day.
Yes, but it leads into one of my favorite lines in the movie, I'd say, which is, sorry, the Coen brothers don't direct the porn I watch, Evan. And maybe if the Coen brothers did direct pornography, I'd watch it.
For sure.
So if the Coens are watching this, which they are, hop to, boys.
Hop to it.
Imagine the Coen brothers' eventual reunion is to direct pornography.
Head simple. Come on, this is the game right now.
It's
This
simple.
is
The Ballad of Buster Nuts.
There you go. I like
Okay.
that one. Okay, my turn.
Inside Llewyn Davis.
That's great. You got that one. That's pretty nice. I'd bust a nut inside Llewellyn Davis. The Nutbuster proxy.
The Nutbuster proxy.
That's pretty good.
All right.
That's
This is
pretty
incredible.
good. The Big LeBonerski.
The Big Lebowski. Let me think. True.
That's nasty.
Yeah,
He's taking it to a nasty place with True Grit, I think.
Yeah.
You're getting. I mean, you could also do like, this is something. Marcus, do you have any sex puns on Coen Brothers films? No cunnilingus from old men. Say it into the microphone so people can come over here. Stick your head in.
There we go. No cunnilingus for old men.
And that's why
Best comedy writer in
That's
the
why
world.
he's the GOAT, brothers and sisters. That's why he's the GOAT.
He just taped a special. It's on YouTube.
Watch it. Maybe, hey, we'll link to it in the description.
Yeah, we'll link to
Fuck
it.
Shouts out to Marcus Bond.
Unfortunately,
and Sean
nothing
Jordan.
in that 45 minutes is funny as No Cunnilingus for Old Men.
That's
But
that's his editorializing. I think it's there's funny stuff as that. Okay. But
I say steering slightly away from.
I don't want to say Glazing Arizona, but that's
You kind of got to say Glazing Arizona.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, I'd say steering slightly away from pornography discussion early in the.
Should we rattle off a couple of our favorite lines real quick, since it led to one of your favorite lines about the Coen Brothers?
Yeah, rattle off a few.
The ones that stuck with me on this watch through. Of course, one of my favorites, even then and now. Muhammad's the most common name on earth. There's got like 1 billion people named that.
He said, "Pick up a book once in a while."
Yeah, you pick up a book. Pick up a book, dumbass, or something like that.
Yeah, no, that was my go-to for favorite line.
Yeah.
Muhammad's like the most common, and also just everything before it. Just why the F would it be between that or Muhammad? Just
No,
dude.
that whole, and no, this the wrap up where whatever Michael Cera is just like, hey, let's not panic. You know, now it's up to you, Fogel. Are you? You just go walk in there and convince them that you're a 25-year-old Hawaiian organ donor. They McLovin.
What was the scene in oh goodness, what was it? When they're sitting at the bar, the two cops, Bill Hader, Seth Rogen, they're sitting with McLovin, and he's like, "Oh, the first night I spent with my wife was group sex." They went, "Oh, that's probably fun." He goes, "I wasn't involved." He's like, "I wasn't there."
But Michaels goes, I was there. No, in that scene, the whole, just the way, like, and I think that scene also, going back to what we talked about, is like another hint that they are trying to be fatherly to him in a way, right? They are treating him like someone they should be giving advice to, where Michaels looks at him and goes, like, you don't want to meet a girl at a bar.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in high school, going into college, I definitely thought that's like what you did. You go out, you meet girls at bars, you hook up, and that's like culture, right? That's what happens. But he's like, you know, this kid is going out into the world. I need to give him some like real advice real quick while I can. And yeah, just another clue that like this movie has more levels that I think are imperceptible to someone watching it with more naive eyes.
Yes.
And also, of
You just
course,
brought
in
some
that-
wisdom to Superbad I didn't expect.
But also, Bill Hader goes, she was a whore, by the way. We did pick her up.
Yeah. God.
Right, and that's what's good about this movie. Like, both of those exist and aren't like, they don't feel like, you know, it doesn't, while it is just like kind of gross out to be a laugh, right? It doesn't feel like we've jumped out of a scene or have like kind of pulled away. It does still feel like of a piece with the other advice, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean like the tone that Mottola is able to ride in some of this direction, I think, is really, really interesting as well.
So early in the movie, Evan accidentally touches Becca's boob. Horrifying scene. Have you ever accidentally touched a boob?
I've been on this planet 36 years, my friend. Yes.
Okay.
I've accidentally touched a boob.
Okay, I just,
Have you?
Yeah, once.
Just once?
Yeah, just once accidental boob touch.
So when we say accidental boob touch, are we talking an accidental boob touch that just like the whole world keeps moving, or an accidental boob touch that you have to like stop and comment on because it was an accidental boob touch?
No, this was it could have been the whole world stopped moving thing. I was moving a refrigerator with one of my coworkers. She was on one side of it. I went around to grab the corner of the refrigerator, wasn't looking, just right on it.
Just full on.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, y'all ready to move this refrigerator, and like I didn't see it, but I knew it was.
Right.
You knew. You're not hitting it. You're like, was that a bag of pudding? You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
sure.
I
kinda
knew what it
know
was.
What you touched, yeah.
Yeah, it was horrifying.
Horrifying?
It was my
because
boss's.
You felt like you were mortified that you had done that?
I was mortified I had done that. I had just met her, and it was my boss's fiance. So it's like, you don't want to accidentally touch your boss's fiance's boob. You know what I mean?
You don't want to sexually harass your boss's fiance, but I think hopefully your boss would be like, "Good Lord, you ran into a man's hand with your bosom? I'm going to beat the hell out of that man until he's dead and gone." That's like fucking crazy. No, like people understand that. Like
This was film industry. The people weren't always the most reasonable thinking individuals. You know what I mean?
Right, and I understand you're wanting to be, cautious and vigilant about not making anyone in the workplace uncomfortable. What a mensch. But if anybody, I have had it. One time, I opened up a bathroom at work that a woman coworker was in and had not locked, and was changing in there. And they weren't totally nude, but they were in jeans and their underwear. And I, closed the door real quick and just was like, "Sorry," and then let it go.
Yes.
Because that's kind of like what happens with accidents, right? Is that hopefully no one wants to kill you over it. Yeah. Or fight you about an accident. But that's just kind of... So, like, I've been to crowded nightclubs where I'm walking through, I'm grazing some boobs like every 3 minutes, right, with my arm on accident. And, yeah, there's been a couple of times where, like, I've nudged a breast of a friend or a buddy, and I just go, "Ooh, my bad."
Yeah.
And then it ended up not being so bad. But, of course, just speaks to Evan being not very able to handle himself as a human individual.
Sorry.
Sorry. And, of course, him walking fast in front of her when they were walking out of the class like early in the movie. That's another beautiful moment that my girlfriend and I think about a lot.
So overall,
Yeah.
I think our opinion is pretty positive. But just for a final overall,
Yeah.
what is your opinion?
Final overall, I would say I was going into this with some trepidation. Because, being a long time since I had waded in the waters of, like, these Apatow comedies, right? Like, I did have a notion of them perhaps having some problematic material, stuff that didn't age well, that I'd have to kind of... And I don't like seeing that shit, It's not like, great. Now, is there some stuff that didn't age great, or are there jokes made that we wouldn't make now? I'd say there's a couple with Fogel's name that I would say are the ones that are most egregious.
We didn't chuckle when they were said.
No, I didn't find that one funny at all. And that's him. I wasn't giggling. And the other one, I thought, there's one R slur thrown out in the beginning.
Yes.
That, is coming back. Mileage may vary. This guy says it. I'm not trying to put him on blast. But this is something that you would think about in your film.
Yes, definitely. There are definitely some scenes and lines that would not be put in today. And, we're better for it as a culture.
Yes,
like, I'm not
absolutely.
even saying that sarcastically.
No.
We've moved past that.
We've moved past it.
Funny at the time, and maybe even funny in the context of the film.
Right.
But if it were made today, you'd be like, come on.
There's better places to do it. And, like, the thing is, like, hitting that specific nickname for McLovin multiple times throughout the film, I thought was just like, you guys, they could have done more, even then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could have hit that nickname once. I do think it was
You hit it one time.
an accurate representation of teenagers in 07.
For sure. I also agree
yes,
with that.
and maybe watching it, but watching it now, you're like, I wasn't using that word as a teenager. You know what I mean? So,
And then I feel like, then you notice it more, and then it feels like way too repetitious once it hits it a couple more times.
Yes. I think.
But other than that, I found it to be, in terms of, like, sexual politics, consent, like, dating. You're worried, like you said earlier, comedies had much cloudier waters that they were fucking dealing with. and I felt it was very clear. I felt like a lot of machismo that could have been wrapped up in young men being rejected was like not played out right. It was more about them finding their own emotions. And I kind of now realize, coming back to it now, that this was kind of the first salvo in the war against saying the F slur
Yeah.
and loving your bros.
Yeah, that was one of my big takeaways from the overalls. I thought the movie was hilarious. I thought it had a great story, great characters, great scenes. But one of my big takeaways was watching it now. I thought it was beautiful at the end when they were telling each other they loved each other. I think
Right.
it was a great thing to put in a movie that young men were to watch and being like, oh, I can express love.
Right. No, and I
For
think
my
that-
friends.
Well, and honestly, like it sounds fucking crazy now, but like you said, people were like when I was 13 to 15, people would call you, any of those homophobic slurs, any sort of insult under the sun that they could figure out, throw your way. It was super common, and like if you ever like. I remember if you tried to express affection for the closeness you have for a male friend, they would almost out of hand reject it because of like, don't be that, because the homophobia of the culture was like just like that, rampant.
Yes.
And then like subsequent movies come out like I Love You Man, right? Which kind of like opens the door a little more about like male friendships in particular in adulthood and kind of like understanding the support structures that like even like grown men with careers need from their friends. So yeah, no, I felt like this movie was extremely gracious and kind and heartwarming and tender in its portrayal of like the bittersweetness of like what it means to grow up, what it means to make hard decisions, tell your friends hard things, move past a safe place in your life. What, you're about to go to college and like they're talking about they're thinking about what they want to experience college as, what they need to know before college strictly through this sexual lens.
Yes.
And by like pursuing that so hard that evening, right, they got like what they're ostensibly looking for, right? This independence in the real world. And they get to fucking go into the real world and realize that like the reason why I'm able to even get here, like out of my bubble, is because my bubble rocks so fucking hard.
Yeah.
And this guy's had my back since I was 8 years old. They say they met, and it's like, damn. So they've known each other literally. It's almost like their entire school career.
That's one of the reasons I think this movie is so impressive, because it is perceived as just a raunchy comedy, but like it used techniques and comedy from like older comedy movies to push forward new comedic and storytelling ideas within comedy. And I think that's why this movie could be considered brilliant in my mind.
I think it's definitely, I don't know how many more we'll come across in our first run of 100, but I think it definitely, I would say it is probably the best like film from like that Apatow Productions kind of.
Yeah, no spoilers for the
collection.
list. I'll spoil the list. I don't think there's any more Apatow on
Yeah.
here, and there probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So that leads me into one of the last two questions, which is, does Superbad belong on the top 100 movies of the 21st century?
I do believe so. Yes.
I would say yes too. Do you think it should be higher? Well, usually my plan was to ask higher or lower, but it can't go any lower. It's number 100.
Right.
So do you think it should be further down the list, or do you think it's in the perfect spot?
In terms of, right, I think in terms of cultural impact, specifically of my generation, my cohort of like the people who were in, like when 9/11 happened, were between 6th and 9th grade. That's a good way of judging it.
Sorry, I didn't expect 9/11 to be brought up during the Superbad episode.
We're talking about the movies of the 21st century. If we're not talking about 9/11 in every episode, I don't know what the fuck we're doing, bro.
New segment, how does 9/11 relate to each film?
But I think that like this definitely starts to, open up a lot of pathways for people to kind of start climbing out of a lot of structured homophobia in a, something that's like them and their bros all can go to the theater and think is like so funny because in the first 4 minutes they showed a titty on a magazine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think it should be higher on the list. In terms of, I think I think that it's better than one of these movies we'll watch soon for sure.
Yeah, I think I know which one you might be referencing, but I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, no, I mean we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I think
I don't like. I honestly, because I'm saying, I am coming off of just my gut recollection of the first 100 through 80.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's remembering that list. I know there's definitely one or two on there that I think Superbad is better.
I mean, obviously 100 is a great spot. So many movies have
glad
been
it
made.
made the list. I'm
glad it made the list too. And I do, like you said, with all of that, I think the argument could be made for it being lower. But also, it gave us Emma Stone, a two-time Best Actress winner. Like
Very true.
It launched careers. It launched Emma Stone. It launched, blanking on his name right now.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
It didn't. What is Christopher Mintz? No shade to Christopher Mintz.
Look, we are 18 years later. Don't act like there wasn't a stretch where Mintz-Plasse was booked and busy.
He was booked and busy. I was referring to Jonah Hill. It gave us
Jonah Hill.
It gave us Jonah Hill who for a while was a good comedic, like get the fat guy, get the loud fat guy.
I think he's a great actor,
but he's a great actor. I mean, like he ended up in some Scorsese projects. He's done.
I think he's phenomenal.
He's done a lot of great
in Wolf of Wall Street. Which
he's done a lot of great dramatic work. So I think the argument could be made, if only for the careers it launched, it being a little more important than 100.
Seth Rogen in a behind the camera also role, right? Seth Rogen's gone on to have a successful production career and has written other films.
Other great comedies, and, haven't been able to check out the studio. Need to check out the studio.
Well, you should check it out, but this is a movie pod.
This is a movie,
show.
but the TV show's about movies, so I don't feel too.
Now we're fucked.
I don't feel too bad about referencing a TV show. But yes, I think Seth Rogen, an underrated dramatic actor, has one of my favorite roles of all time in Steve Wozniak. Hot take, just love that role.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I'm glad it's on the list. I think just being on the list is clearly a great thing, but I think the argument could be made that it could be a little lower, considering some of the first 20 movies in.
And I mean, you get peaks at a lot of people, right, that are important to comedy now. Jody Hill, director of The Foot Fist Way, the frequent collaborator of Danny McBride on Eastbound and Down and stuff. He's one of the country sounding guys at the party.
Okay, yes. And that's right, he was in Eastbound and Down.
And the other guy with him who notices it was in Eastbound and Down.
And this wasn't Judd Apatow's first big project into fame, but I do think this was the first movie that went this nuts at the box office, $270 million worldwide.
Well, 40-Year-Old Virgin, right? You have to kind of be the first. You have to pick, right?
Yes.
And this was after that.
This was a year or two after 40-Year-Old Virgin, I believe.
And then also this is post Freaks and Geeks and post Underclassmen or whatever that show's called.
Undecided, yeah.
Undeclared.
Damn.
3 strikes, we're not out. We got it on the third swing.
Undeclared.
Though.
Freaks and Geeks, man. You bought up Freaks and Geeks. You know what? We're starting a Freaks and Geeks pod, too, so subscribe to that.
Surprise. I didn't know about that, but yeah.
We're not starting a Freaks and Geeks pod. It had its day in the sun. It's one of my favorite things.
Great show.
But no, yeah, man, this was fun. Wrapping it up. I'd say check us out next week. I think I'm going to post these every Wednesday.
Love it.
So check us out next week.
Follow us on our Instagram. We'll figure out what the handle is.
Yes, we'll put it right on the screen.
It's on the screen, and I'm reading it out loud in the computer voice.
I will probably make. Follow us there. I believe I have it worked out to where you can get us anywhere you find podcasts, but for sure Apple and Spotify.
Big two.
So yeah, next week.
What's our next film?
We will be
Jennings,
watching.
Hit me with it.
The 2002 Korean drama directed by Best Director Oscar winner Bong Joon-ho, Memories of Murder.
Oh, true crime. I'm fucking pumped, bro. Hey, bye-bye. This is FilmPod.
Every Wednesday.
And we're out of here.
We're out.
Film
Pod.
Potted. All right. We want to say Film Potted together as our signature sign-off? Yeah. Let's do it.
Film Potted.
Turn that shit off.